What's going on, guys? This is AndrewChicken and welcome back to another video. Damba is undoubtedly one of the strongest support champions in the realm, with both a powerful healing capability and the capacity to deal tons of damage and be a huge threat to any enemy who opposes him. However, he also proves to be one of the most difficult champions in Paladins, with one of the hardest weapons to use and a hit scan heal that you actually have to aim to use, unlike easier supports such as Ceres and Genos. That's why in this video I'm going over loadouts and tips from Damba that you can use to become better at this beast of a champion. I'll be covering tips for both the classic healer Damba and the aggressive damage Damba in this video, as both are strong, viable options for playing Damba in almost any situation. Now, I do apologize for missing an upload last week, but I was pretty sick, and I don't think you guys would have enjoyed a video with my voice sounding like this. What's going on, guys? This is AndrewChicken, and welcome. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to LordPunk73 for helping me out with this video. She's a pretty great support main and knows a lot more about playing Damba than I do. So, without further ado, let's get into how to play Damba in Paladins. Damba's main role is to be a healer, which he can pull off extremely well, with tons of great loadout cards for the job. Damba should have at least two different healing loadouts that both use the Spirit's Chosen talent. One that prioritizes giving a speed buff to your teammates and generally trying to put out as much healing as possible, and one that loses the speed buff but increases your survivability. Damba is a special healer in that he has the capacity to give his teammates a speed buff, which you want to make full use of when constructing a loadout based on buffing your allies as much as possible. Having Swift Spirits at level 3 can give your teammates a nice boost of speed every time you heal them, while not being too overwhelming that it'll mess up their movements and their aim. Mini Gourds is also an excellent addition to a loadout that maximizes healing, since you'll have your gourd up more often. Now, a card I personally like to have in my healing loadout is Eerie Presence. This card is absolutely mandatory at either level 4 or 5 if you're not confident in your ability to consistently land heals, since missing incurs a 3-second cooldown penalty otherwise. Of course, if you have godlike aim and hit almost every heal, you don't really need this card and can swap it out for something that'll help you in a different way, like Lighter Gourd, which will make your gourd travel faster. However, these three cards will definitely help you out if you're looking for a strong, basic loadout that will maximize how much healing you can put out in a match. Of course, sometimes your allies won't want a speed buff, which is always a good thing to ask about before you pick your loadout, or you'll be going up against some scary flankers that could ruin your day without a bit of extra protection. This is where your survivability loadout will come into play. This loadout is very similar to the Max Heals loadout, except it has possession at least level 3 to provide you with almost constant damage reduction as long as you're healing your teammates. This is especially useful since it counters both direct and area damage, so it works against both EV and Androxus. Cards that buff your Slither, such as Liminal Passage, which makes it travel farther, or Fleeting, which reduces the cooldown of Slither, are also great additions to your loadout. Sometimes, though, it's best for Damba to just go full-out damage mode. A good damage loadout prioritizes keeping Damba alive and letting him stun as much as possible. Snake Pit is an extremely important card to have because at its best it gives Damba Deft Hands 1 right off the bat. However, it's not required to have this card at level 5, since having it at level 4 gives you 20% increased reload speed, or exactly 1 tier of Deft Hands when you start out. Having it at any higher than level 4 is just overkill, so you end up wasting loadout points on reload speed that you could be using somewhere else. Incorporeal and Spirit's Touch are cards I find to be helpful self-sustain cards, since they give you more HP and healing on your Slither respectively. Cards that you shouldn't really have in your loadout are cards that buff you when you heal someone like Possession, since your goal is not to heal but to do damage, so you'll rarely see benefit from those types of cards. Eerie Presence can be really helpful though in a loadout where you're utilizing Wakono's Curse, since it makes his damage on Mending Spirits much more reliable. Wakono's Curse is the best damage talent for beginners, since it makes use of his hit scan Mending Spirits, which is way easier to hit than his Snake Stun. However, Wakono's Wrath is definitely his strongest damage talent, since it makes his stun deal a whopping 700 damage, and with max Deft Hands, he can deal damage much faster with this talent than with Wakono's Curse. Damba is a difficult support to master since he has a very busy kit and almost always has to be doing something, whether it be revving his stun or deciding who to heal with which ability. There is a lot of consideration that has to be done when deciding which ability you should use on which teammate. Obviously, if there's a situation where multiple teammates are grouped up and need a heal, you should throw your gourd at them instead of a lone tank. But it can also be used to heal people who are around corners you can't reach if you can bounce it off the wall and manage to hit them. This takes a lot of practice, but it's a great tactic for healing allies you can't normally heal directly. When using Swift Spirits to give a teammate bonus movement speed, it's important to prioritize healing people in more dangerous situations than those that might necessarily be lower on health but are less vulnerable to taking more damage. For instance, if one of your flankers overextended and needs to quickly back out, it's more important to heal them and give them the movement speed buff than to keep a tank topped off with your Mending Spirits who's just casually dueling the other tank at the point. Of course, it is optimal to heal both by throwing a gourd the tank's way, but my point is that when giving teammates a speed buff, it's crucial that you pay as much attention to their position and situation they're in as how low their health bar is. Damba has a very interesting movement ability, and while it's not as strong or versatile as Pip's or Grover's, it's still very capable of letting him escape lethal damage. First and foremost, it can simply be used to quickly get Damba to safety behind a wall or some other cover. This works very well on closed maps like Serpent Beach or Bright Marsh, but on other open maps like Frog Isle, huge damage dealing abilities like Bomb King's ultimate and Grumpy Bomb or Terminus's ultimate are much harder to escape from simply by dodging behind a corner. This is where Damba's damage immunity during Slither is insanely valuable. While it takes lots of practice to consistently pull off, you can dodge the damage from any scary ability by simply timing your movement ability so that you use it right as the ability is about to go off. Take Sky's Time Bomb, for example. This ability is pretty easy to time your Slither with because of the audio cues that let you know when it's about to detonate. So to avoid all damage with this bomb, you would just have to wait until after the loud sirens stop playing to slither away and completely evade the damage. This is a really helpful technique that you can use to stay alive in tough situations. Damba's ultimate has generally the same purpose regardless of which playstyle you choose with him. His ultimate has 3 uses: to keep an enemy flanker away, to save an ally who's in trouble, or to scare the enemies off of the objective. You could also use it to secure a free kill if you're playing damaged Damba and use it in the backline or something, but most of the time you're not going to use it for this purpose. Now, it's important to note that if you're a new player, Damba's ultimate doesn't activate until you either hit terrain with it, or you press your ultimate button again to activate it mid-air. When I first started playing Damba, I struggled to use his ultimate because I didn't know you could activate it in mid-air, so a lot of my first ultimates with Damba were complete failures. So instead of trying to aim your ultimate just right so that it hits the floor where you want it to, like I originally tried to do, just press the ultimate button again and easily detonate it wherever you want. You don't typically want to use Damba's ultimate unless you have other teammates nearby to capitalize on the frightened enemies. For instance, if the enemies have clear control of the objective, it's at 60%, and you're alone to try to save the point, don't desperately ult when nobody is around to kill the enemies. Wait until you have a few teammates nearby who can shoot the incapacitated enemies to use your ultimate, since doing otherwise will almost always just be a waste. As far as healing items go, Damba's items are just like any other healers. You want to prioritize getting at least Chronos 2, and getting kill to heal is also a pretty safe bet for being a healer. However, when playing damaged Damba, his items are a bit different from other damage dealers. Damba is one of the only champions in the realm where getting Deft Hands is more important than getting Cauterize, Wrecker, or Bulldozer, since his stun is a very powerful asset that takes the priority over denying heals or shielding like other champions should do. Deft Hands should always be your first pick as a damaged Damba, and other items like Kill to Heal, defensive items, Nimble, or Morale Boost should come second. So anyways, that's the end of this video. Did this video help you get better playing Damba, one of the strongest and most difficult supports in the realm? If so, be sure to drop a like and subscribe for more content like this. Also, make sure to join my Discord server using the link in the description to pick up tips or leave suggestions. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.